Yo, what's good? Eric Bobo from the mighty Cypress Hill.
Hey, this is Sen Dog from Cypress Hill, and I'm here to number off the best 11 rap rock songs of all time. And mind you that we're talking about, a few bands. It's almost impossible to talk about this genre without mentioning like 20 or 30 bands, right? But yeah, I guess I'd have to start from the beginning with the guys that I saw do it first, which was Run-DMC. And, this is in the mid 80s, and they were already on some heavy stuff, It always seemed like a natural fit. And I always took something from that. I always took the, dare to be different approach. You know what I mean? Be different than anybody else. And I think Run-DMC was that, and they opened a lot of doors for that particular, musical movement, especially, getting down with Aerosmith and all that stuff. That was incredible. Public Enemy had a song called Sophisticated, and it had a really really hardcore riff on it. And me and my bros used to jam that out all the time because we thought, it was heavy. It was different than all the hip hop that was out there.
I mean, Public Enemy, they were well-rounded as far as, musical genres. The Bomb Squad, one of the top producers of hip-hop, still had their ears open to, the rock sound and everything. And it was cool to be able to just, put these things together because, maybe at first, it was, separate and, the rock guys didn't like hip-hop and some hip hop guys were not really into the guitars and everything like that, but it helped form a bridge that made groups Beastie Boys, eventually Cypress Hill, different groups like that to kind of put it all together, still make it funky, still make it hip hop, but it's still rock. Like when Public Enemy and Anthrax did Bring the Noise. Bring the Noise was already a powerful song alone as it was, Public Enemy version. But when Anthrax came into the mix, and they're known for their heavy metal style, and it fit fucking perfect, amazing, man. And you even heard Scott Ian, he was doing a little rapping on there. He was rapping fucking Chuck D's verse.
Yeah, he did the second or third verse, the whole verse though.
The whole verse.
And then we have to move on to Beastie Boys for the next section of that because their first album was mad dusted out, and they had mad incredible rock influences all through their music on that first record. It was like a musical awakening as soon as their record splashed.
I mean, you have No Sleep Till Brooklyn. To me, that was they're sophisticated from Public Enemy, with their riffs and stuff like that. I mean, and they definitely helped bring the rap rock thing together and, open up that door for more groups to do it.
And then from that point on, I think there was a little couple year gap until this band called Faith No More came out.
The trip about it is that you had groups like that they were into hip hop and they were trying to find a way how to put the hip hop into their style. And a lot of them were rapping a little bit, early Red Hot Chili Peppers was doing that. Everybody was trying to dabble a little bit, but Faith No More, that song was huge. And they were playing that a lot on alternative radio.
Yeah, that was a really big song and it got a lot of airplay and a very important record that sometimes might get overlooked because they were ahead of the curve as far as all that rap rock stuff that would come later on. Rage Against the Machine. I think we brought them out on their first national tour back in what year was that? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was 93, 94, early on. They were opening up for us and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they were opening up for us. Yeah, they were. I remember that first concert that I heard him at. I was in the dressing room making a sandwich, and I heard this rumbling earthquake coming from the stage area, and I had to go see what it was, and it was those guys, fully on. And I knew from that point on, those guys, this first record is just the beginning for them. they're gonna do some really good stuff in the near future and whatnot.
They brought the rock and they brought the funk because they were funky too, and so and there was no singing; it was all rhymes.
So what's up with Ice-T and Body Count?
That's enough. I was going to mention that Ice-T coming from a hip hop background, but he also liked that rock shit. And Body Count, that first record was like explosive, man. To me, all of their records have a power to them, and Ice-T was already well known. And the kids at that point, they weren't used to seeing it live. There's one thing that you can hear it on the radio and be a hit and everything like that, but they helped to really bring that shit to a live audience and have people still moshing and rapping and all that stuff. And you really saw the merge of hip hop and rock together, and they were fucking on fire.
Yeah, and as far as the song that got them in a lot of heat, Cop Killer, what did you think about that?
Well, controversial. And I think it's a song that needed, to be out. And I know that there were a lot of conservatives that were like, oh my God, this is too heavy. How are we going to do this on the radio? How are we going to play? But, people were able to relate. And it was no longer just a black thing. It was a people thing, because both black, white, whatever you want to call it, were, having to deal with, police brutality and things like that. So people were able to relate, and it definitely brought out the rage. People dug that shit, and it was heavy.
That was definitely, a changing moment in not just music, but like in society as well, because, Ice-T would flip everybody off who didn't give a shit, and keep it moving. So we got to give him props, on his whole technique was daring and, take no prisoners type of thing.
You even have groups like Korn, their first record, was heavily influenced the sound from Cypress Hill. I mean, this song Blind, you hear the end of it, that is like liquor shot at the end, you know what I mean?
Remember 311?
We also took them out on one of their first big tours too.
Like they made their own lane, kind of,
They mixed a lot of like the rock and hip hop, and then with a little bit of reggae twist. They were heavier than like Sublime. It helped to make, I think, hip hop more accepted in the rock community when you had bands like that, doing those mashups, so to speak.
Let's talk about Limp Bizkit and the Nookie.
All right, it's another group. When they took off, I mean, they were heavy duty, and with the help of like MTV, that really helped spread, that genre into the masses. The Nookie, that beat is funky as fuck. They were using like the sample drums, like that, and then they come in with like the heavy rock, and for Fred Durst was rhyming. It was like infectious, man. I just remember, I mean, you couldn't go down the street without like hearing that song or singing a song about the Nookie, and what a title.
I mean, we can't, talk about the stuff like this without bringing in Linkin Park and Chester and Mike Shinoda.
Yes, sir.
They were out of the stratosphere, like, that band became really, really big. And I think it had to do a lot, well, of course, with Chester singing and Mike rhyming.
Chester was like, he was doing like heavy metal, like screams and shit like that. And the band, they were laying down, funky grooves, but, heavy. And then you'd have, Mike Shinoda, who, really helped put all that stuff together musically, and also, with the rhymes and stuff. Like, they were all like fans of hip hop. Hip hop really brought together a lot of those groups. So you can't go and mention that genre without mentioning a group like Linkin Park.
Bro, we can't, leave out the importance of our song Rock Superstar off of this list.
we could look at it like, we weren't really rock stars, but we had a lot of rock and roll fans and alternative fans. And we had a lot of people that said, man, we don't like hip hop, but we like Cypress Hill, because we gave them something to relate to. And when we did that song took off like gangbusters, man, it was a crazy time, and it made, the genre that much more respected, because you were able to hear the influence of both, and what was said lyrically, and the lyrics, all of that stuff, it was all real shit. So yeah, man, you cannot go and mention that genre without mentioning Rock Superstar. I mean, we did Rap Superstar, but that didn't get nearly the shine that Rock Superstar did. You know what I mean?
No doubt, man. I thought that was, groundbreaking for us as well, as, that far into our careers, to go on ahead and say, hey, we're going to do this thing now and watch it work. But I think we all felt that it could work and it would work. A little musical history there for you from Sen Dog and Bobo, folks. We could get a degrees in musical history.
Oh shit! So we can start to teach. We could put like a Dr. Sen Dog.
Big up to all the artists that we just talked about. We just talked about a bunch of our friends. It's been cool to be part of that genre and that scene for so many years, because, I never thought we would.
Don't forget that new album, Back in Black, about to drop. Yep. So, be sure to check that out.
And peace out from Sen and Bobo. We're out of here.
Peace.